Now, I could go online right now, this very second, and say anything I wanted about you. I could fabricate stories. I could attack your character. I could use vulgar language. My speech is protected under the First Amendment. Maybe not so much. A 15-year-old at Harvard Westlake was harassed online by other students. They posted that he was gay. They posted that they wanted to pound his head in with an ice pick. They posted the boy was wanted dead or alive. The father of that boy sued the kids in question and their parents for hate crimes and defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The U.S. District Court of Appeals, by a 2-1 vote, will allow that suit to go forward. So maybe freedom of speech isn't as free as it used to be, and maybe it shouldn't be. Is that a good thing, Matt?
I think the court made the right decision. I mean, a 15-year-old is not a public figure, like an elected official or a senior government official or a candidate, who aren't protected by the same kind of a libel or slander laws that an ordinary citizen is. But I think in this cyber age, you ought to have some protection, some recourse if somebody is deliberately using the internet, and it's you're basically talking on a global scale to defame your character and inflict emotional distress. I mean, I see it all the time as a blogger. I see other bloggers doing it to ordinary people. I mean, deliberately trying to destroy their reputations. And I think you ought to have some recourse in the courts to put a stop to it.
I agree with that. David, what do you think?
Well, I agree, too, and I think Matt hit the nail on the head here. We're talking about the internet, and, it's one thing if, a bunch of neighbor kids, call you gay, in the neighborhood, but when you post it on the internet, this is a global thing. Everyone can see it, and I think that a lot of teenagers especially think that, it's just the internet, who cares? Well, you know what? Anyone can see that, and what goes on the internet lives on forever. You can take it back down. People have still seen it, and the damage is done. And, you were saying, I can go on and say anything I want about you. Well, no, you can't. The courts have limited that, and that's all we're seeing here is the courts are laying down some guidelines and saying, you know what, you have a right to free speech in America, but there is a limit to that, and that also extends to the internet, and I think that's good.
All right, now let me say a couple of things here. First of all, if you're watching at home, you see David. He is not going through a bizarre spasm. He is on Skype, and we're having a few problems with his signal, so I don't want you to think David's freaking out. Now, the one thing I do want to say, though, is I understand freedom of speech, and I respect that. But, people are completely out of control. They are out of control. They are angry. They are mean. For whatever reason, when they're anonymous, they think they can attack anyone or anything. I personally think that needs to be stopped. I think it does more harm than good. I think it promotes people. It promotes the opportunity for people to vent in the most unhealthy ways. And I'm troubled by it. I'm very happy that the court upheld this decision. I'm happy they can sue, and I think personally we need to see more of that. Okay, one more topic. Let's go. Do you attend church or a house of worship? In Rancho Cucamonga, you can't worship in a house without a permit. For the second time in 6 months, the city has ordered a group of Christian worshipers who meet inside a home to get a permit or shut down. Some said it was a Bible study group of 15. Others said it was between 40 and 60. Doesn't matter. City said get a conditional use permit to operate a church in a residential area or church is over. Well, you can throw a party at your house. You hold a baby shower at your house. Throw a poker event at your house. Why do you need a permit for Bible study, David?
Well, this is an issue that is dripping with religious overtones, which is why it's so interesting. But, the truth of the matter is here, this is not a Christian issue. This is a 60 people in a neighborhood every week issue. And I think, again, we're talking about clouding the issue here. Let's call it what it is. I don't think anybody really cares if you have church in your house or a Bible study in your house or whatever you want to do in your house. This is America. God love you. You can do whatever you want. But if you're having 60 people in your neighborhood every week, I imagine the neighbors probably aren't very happy about that. So I don't think it matters if you're having a barbecue, a party, a rave, or a Bible study. I think the real issue here is the discrepancy between what the neighbors say, which is that there's 60 people here every week, and what the church group is saying, which is, it's only 15. That's the real issue here. What they're doing inside is really irrelevant to me.
15 or 60? What do you think, Matt? Should they be allowed to be there?
Well, like David said, you're really getting to a land use issue or a zoning issue more than the religious issue. I think the religious issue gives it sex appeal in the media. And, there's a difference if it's 15 people or 60. But if it gets large, neighbors have a right to complain. If every weekend it's hard to park in front of their own houses because there's cars there's a lot of people. Say, for example, it was a baby shower every weekend with 60 people, or a barbecue, or some other social gathering. After a while, you're starting to abuse, your rights as a property owner are coming into conflict with their neighbors who have a certain expectation of reasonable use. I mean, it's not clear cut all the time. It can get messy. You got to take it to the planning commission, your city council. But I think at the end of the day, from this perspective, I think the city is right. They got to, if they're effectively running a church, they ought to be permitted as a church and zoned as a church and not have it in a residential neighborhood.
And if they're permitted and zoned as a church, you're still going to have the 60 people parking in front of the house every weekend.
But they'll probably be required to meet at a property that is zoned for church use. If they're meeting in a house that's zoned for residential use, then they're in violation of the property rights of the residents.
Just hold church in a reasonable place. I think that's all anyone's really saying here. I think that's what we're all saying is that, you know what? I don't care if you want to hold church. It's great. Just do it in a reasonable place and don't inflict it on your neighbors.
And to both of you for tonight's work, I say amen. Well done. Nice job, guys. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Fred.
Okay.